was, yeah, so the instantiation form is the one which is prior to your process. So if you create any of the form, right now when you start, it will automatically come to book info, right?
Okay.
Normally, right? When you start, that's how the step is. But if you want some other thing like initial payload for your process to start, you can generate an instantiation form also. So once you run it, this form will come in. So if I just to show you that, let me just add some test, something like that. And this works same like your normal form. Okay, but only thing is, uh, it will just come before your process starts. So it will take all the necessary inputs for your process, and then it kicks in like that. Okay, is your UI designer in some other page? I can't see it. Can you put
Oh,
it to the screen?
can you able to see it now?
What about the others? Can you guys see the screen?
You're able to see.
Anyway, so what I'm saying is now if you save the process, right? Let's say it has created a form. If I'm not wrong, it will create some like text box. That's
Okay.
it. Okay. So now once I run this process, if everything is correct,
Mm-hmm.
then it should give me a form. Before, not the book info, but the form which we created now. So that will be your input to your process.
Okay.
Okay. So it should come in your other browser, whichever desk.
Varshit.
Instead, maybe I'll show it. It's fine, right?
Oh, just a
So
minute, just a minute.
yeah, so you see that this one was, you're not seeing it earlier, right? You are just seeing the process started and the immediate user form. But this is before even starting your process. So it will take some mandatory inputs for your process to start and move it from forward. Okay, in real world scenarios, you want some data for your process, right? Initially, it's not like you always start and you want the first step, user task or script task. You want some initial data from external source to be as an input to your process like that. So that's where this form comes in.
Okay. Um, so can we test it when you were showing in the video ad from data, right?
Yeah.
Ensuring over. Oh, just a minute. Maybe in this.
So
Okay, I got it. Yeah.
you define the business data model first, and then you add that variable to this. So do you have any BDMs defined in your process?
No, not in this chat process, but in the books diagram, maybe I did.
Yeah, so once you have it, then you can access it. That's what I'm thinking. Let's see if you can do it here or not. Instantiation.
Yeah, in this
Yeah,
add from data. So
click on next and you can select which one to add. You want both of them, right? And you can do finish. That is the code it is doing behind the scenes.
yeah.
So now this is the same thing, right? So now you generate the form and that will be your initial request for your process, like minimum basic thing that your process needs for it to
Okay.
move from to start at least, something like that. So that is instantiation form. That's something which you need if you need some mandatory things from your external source or from user input for your process to actually start or something. It is not mandatory, but in general scenarios, you always need some other external data for your process to start and move it from one step to other step, like basic data.
Okay.
Okay.
Another question. In defined business data models, we define two variables like book name and book price. Again, we came back and we defined it. Uh, in the business variables? Why we need to do it twice?
Yeah, so the business data model is like generic. Now any pool can access that. Now for your process, you are accessing this, right? When you click on BDM view, previously you have seen all the objects there, right?
Yeah.
It's not one object, but in your process, you just need this one. You got what
Okay.
I'm saying? It's like it's you
So
can,
this
yeah.
business data model is global. Can everyone can use in business variable? We are taking those and we are using in our process.
Yes, exactly. So you don't
Okay.
want all the 100 business data models, right? You just want one or two out of the defined ones like that. Yeah. Only very few teams will be using this business data models. I gave an information because if someone is using, you should not get surprised or something like that. So that's why I have prioritized that topic. Normally, very rarely you will be seeing this. As I told you, these are global variables. Not many use it because any process can update it, right, anytime. So that's why the consistency of the variables will be missed. So that's why they will generally avoid it. Okay? But the process is same if you are using business variables or process variables. How to send to form back and everything is that is what you need to know. Okay.
Okay. In yesterday's class, you were talking about case variables and case ID in connectors. So actually, where do we use that case variables and case ID?
Yeah. So basically, in the Bonita world, a process variable is to the pool level, right? Is to the process. But case
Hmm.
is like your unit. Whenever you create an instance of this particular process, that is
Mhm.
called a case. It is not like in the JVPM world, it's a case file. No, it's not that. Any process instance is normally called a case in Bonita world.
Okay.
So it is like an instance, process instance. The same naming you will be seeing in the portal also. If you go to the search view of the cases, that is the instances of it. Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, they named it generic because they have adaptive case management also in this. So they just named both same, not two things like process instance for one and case for other or something like that. So it's like everything in one place.
Okay, I got it. Uh, on previous class, when you're creating the child process, you said that to define a dynamic form, you said we need to go to contract, right?
To define a
No, no.
dynamic form, no. To call a dynamic process, you can write a script. So it will be on the call activity level. You click on call activity, and you generally put the name, right? Name of the process. You can click on that.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe you control. It seems like I'm not able to click on that. You can click on that call activity node, right? And you go to the general. That's where you will say like to which process to call, right? The child pool, the name
For
of
the
the process.
dynamic, I got a doubt on the form something. I'm not able to recollect it. I'll just come back tomorrow with the doubt.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry for that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like how to pass the dynamic child, like a child sub process. Maybe is that the question?
Yeah, I'm not able to see few variables like we are able to select in the previous class when you were explaining you were able to see the all the variables in the version 7.12. When I tried to doing it, I was not able to see. I'm exactly not recollecting it what where I opened it, but I followed the steps you said. In that I couldn't see those
Yeah,
variables.
few of the variables I created it. By default, you'll get 4 or 5 variables only.
Oh,
You
it's
can
not that those variables, I'm not able to see that field itself.
yeah. So you need to create them. I created them manually. You will not see those as this. So for you as an example to show you like how to access the process variables in your form, I created some set of things there so that you can work if you want to use it in your real world process, you can do that. But normally you will get 4 or 5 fields only, like context, task ID, task like that. You get 4 or 5 fields.
Okay. I'll just check it. If I still doubt, I'll come back.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody has any other questions? Okay, yeah, let me just start the today's thing. Okay. So I'm gonna, so far we have talked like every time we come here, create a process and just click on this particular button and just it starts the process, right? But there are certain scenarios where you will not be able to do that. Like once you deploy a process to your server, you will not be able to start it, especially in the community edition. Normally in the performance edition or subscription editions, you will have a button to start it. But from outside, if external, if you want to start it, how to do it, is what I'm going to concentrate today. I'm going to talk on the other things. Okay, I took a simple process again. We have seen how to use events, right? Message events, etc. yesterday. But now let me just run it to show you like what happens here. Once I click on this run, see that the expected step is supposed to be a placeholder task. But Bonita, what it does is it just terminates it. Let me show you the case. So see this, it just they name it as cases for the instances. Okay, that is the question I think you are asking. When I click on archive cases, you see that this the process got completed. But when I click on that, there are no tasks done here. So Bonita thinks that because it's a message type of event, you cannot send a message to it like this, like just by clicking the start, and it won't work like that. You have to send an API request to it. Now it's a little bit cumbersome in Bonita world. Normally in other JBPM or some other BPMs, it's pretty straightforward to invoke APIs of that particular engine. But in Bonita world, it's a little complex. I think I opened the wrong one. Where is that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the background noise. Okay. So I think I have provided boss files. I think you are able to import the boss files, and also I no need to talk about it, right? You know how
Yeah,
to
we were
import the
able to
files.
import them. Yeah.
Yeah, it just you need to click on this button, and if someone is not able to get it, I'm gonna just do it quickly.
Okay.
So you just click on import and you just browse for the particular file and you just open and do it. I think even in your client location, this is the process you will follow. When I talk about performance edition tomorrow, I will be showing you like it has a Git integration to it, but not many use it in the client location for due to certain reasons, because the way Bonita stores the files is pretty different. In the initial days, I showed you like what all the contents you see in the boss file and bar file. The bar file is pretty unique, so you will have only one process data. But if you open the boss file, you will see all these diagrams listed in it. So the way they store it is a little cumbersome, and there is a possibility that if you are using custom widgets in your forms and all, if they have same name, it may get overridden. So it will corrupt your processes normally. So that's why most of the client teams which I work did not go for the Git process. Okay, I'll tell you tomorrow what is it all, but to be frank, in your client location, you'll be just doing the same process. You just import the process and do it. Okay. And the next one, you know how to check validation errors, right? Whenever you click on this process, if there are any errors, you will see here, and you can read the description of it and you can just update it. Okay. I think most of them are familiar. I try to do few here and there also whenever I design a process. And the studio logs. So as I said, Bonita is like a complete unit. You for you to search logs and all, you can go to the Tomcat folder of the Bonita and you can get the logs, or you can directly get the logs in this studio itself. The way you get it is you click on help and you click on this log. So the studio logs gives you any errors within the studio, and engine log would be your server level ones. Okay, if I click on studio log, it just opens a tab with the log file and will automatically refresh, and you will see all the logs. This is for the studio level logs. Okay, and the other one is again for you is the engine level log. So any engine level issues you can see it. This only works for your local system, not for your like other systems. You have separate log files for the other servers, but if you're developing inside your local machine, if you're doing a quick test, you can go and see it. So now here I can see process instance ID is unknown like that. So those kind of errors you can see. If you have any errors while you're running, if you want to see the logs, you can quickly go to help and get those logs. Okay. If you have any UI designer logs, also you can see that. Okay, if you're interested. Next one is Postman REST client. Yeah, we will talk about it. And we know who is Walter Bates, right? He is like our main person whenever we start the process. You may also change that if you, whenever you try to run it. Right, I showed you when you click on the configure section in the authentication section, you can change it. By default, it's Walter.Bates. Okay. Next, we can talk about the documentation I showed you where to go and check. Okay. Now, these are the steps. I'm going to quickly run through it, but in your client location, these are completely done using a wrapper service. So they have done all these steps, which I'm going to show now. But for you to test locally, you can try it out. Okay. So you have two things to do. First is your login service. This is the API call, and it requires few things. One is your username, and you can give any users you have in the Acme to log in, but I'm choosing Walter Bates here. And you put password as BPM and redirect false. Redirect false in the sense whenever you click submit, it will normally go to a HTML page. Okay. So now you're saying don't redirect, just be there. Okay. And if you have it true, then you have to provide some URL to it. So this is like your payload for your login service. The important part is once you click submit, you need to go to cookies and get the JSession ID and Bonita API token. So this is the way they manage the sessions. The cookie-based session management is done in the Bonita APIs. So whenever you want to use any APIs in Bonita, you have to do the first step, this one. Okay, now let's say you have done this, you got this JSession ID and Exponent API token. Now, if you want to invoke it, you need to, let's say you want to create a case for a process. Case is nothing but a process instance, okay, for a process. Now, if you want to do that, you will use this API and you need to provide these headers and this token, whichever you got in the previous one. This is the same thing you have to use across all the APIs. Okay, if I true message, I'm going to use the same JSession ID and exponential API token. So that means it knows that you are the same user who has logged in and doing this API calls sequentially. Okay. Any questions so far? I'm going to show that, but any questions? Did you get what is this JSession ID? What is the exponent API token? No.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just quickly show you. I'm going to start this process. This message start process. So to configure this, just like any message, it will have like basic things, like if you want to get the message content or anything like that. So I'm going to quickly show you. The name of it is process with message start, just to say that it is a message process like that. And catch message is what you need to provide it as the input for it. Okay. So as I told you, all your start events are more or less a catch type of events because they will capture the input from it. The only difference for this one, this is called no event type or no event type because it normally doesn't take the payload. Okay. But if you go to the execution, sorry, in the pool level, if you provide this instantiation form, right, that means you are sending some data to your process. Now that is being captured by your start, but for you, it doesn't look like it is doing much, but it is the input for you. You may give that instantiation form or not, that is your wish. Okay, so that is why it is a no event type of start, but it is also catching some data. If it is there, it will catch. If not, no. But the other type of events, they need some input for it to start. Okay, so that is the only difference between normal start versus other type of events. So now when I click on this one, I go to general and you see in the message content, I may provide some inputs to it. Like I want, this is the input to be provided for my process to start, something like that. Okay. I'm going to start this. Let me just open Postman. You can use any REST client. I'm just used to using Postman a lot. So that's why I'll be showing all the examples here like that. Okay, let me see the login API service. So this port here is 22493 because mine is running currently on that port. And if you're wondering if you want to change it, you can do that also. You can click on preferences here and go to server settings and you can change the port here if you want. Okay, I can give it a try. Let's see. apply. Okay, and it will try to restart the server. Yeah, in the meantime, I'll just show you. So once you put, let's say this is 8080, if everything works, that would be your URL. This is localhost 8080 is your Tomcat server running. Slash Bonita slash login service will be your API to invoke to log into the engine. Okay, in the body section, you need to provide these values. You can just add anything, okay, and the value you can add like that. But here it requires four things. The username, you can give any of the Acme users here, and the password by default is BPM. Redirect true or false, it's your wish. It doesn't make much difference because all you need is the cookie, these things. Okay, let me see if it is running. I think it's going to take some time. Okay. Okay, now it's on 8080 port, right? Okay, cool. I've defaulted this. So let me just send. So every time you click on send, the token ID will differ. So if you are like clicking login service every time for invoking API calls, then you need to update the JSession ID and XAPI token. So let me copy this. Mine would be to start a message. Wait, I hope this is the one. Message. I'll explain what is this. Just give me a second. So in the header section, you need to write that same as it is JSession ID. Now this is little complex one because you will not be seeing these kind of things in other type of tools. But this is how Bonita maintains the sessions, like cookie-based session management. So that's why we have to go through this manual step. Normally in your client location, it will be just, they'll write a wrapper service and it will take care of all these things for you. But for you to test and all, I'm just showing you. Okay, why is this doing like this? Okay. 0 and okay. Let's give it a try. Okay, so it gave me 204 no content. That means it is successful, but the server, I mean the response, there is no response to it. Let's see, the expected thing is we need to see a placeholder task in our engine, right? I'm gonna replay. And you see that, so the process has successfully started. Okay, now I'm gonna use the same JSession ID Exponent API token if I want to further call any other APIs in the process. Okay, so far any questions? Okay, let me explain this payload, right? Let me just give you this. So for any message type of API call, you need to provide a basic information. That would be your message name, which is nothing but, let me put 50%. Okay. Okay. So the message name is nothing but the catch message. Here, you see that catch message, that would be a message name. And the target process is the process name, which is your message start event. And the flow node is this one. So let's say like a process is a sequence of flow nodes. So it is a flow and each one is a node. So that's why they named it like that. And the target one, which you want to trigger with this message is this one. So that would be your process with message start. Okay. And the message content is, if you want to get some input externally to your process, you may use that. It is optional. I just wanted to show you that it is there, so that's why I kept it. And in our case here, you don't need correlation because it's a start type of event. It knows that okay, there is no correlation required. But any input, a basic input you want to send to your process, you can send it in here. You can add as many as you want. Okay. So here I'm sending process variable one, which is this one, and the value is received from message node. Okay, I might be using the wrong one.
Does that auto populate, or else we need to write everything?
This one, yeah, you have to write it. So this content is like just like your instantiation form. If you want some basic input for your process, you will send some data, right?
Okay.
Right. In the similar
Yeah.
fashion, if you want to get it from a message, like some external system is sending some information to your process, you want to capture it. Generally, you put that in the message content. It is like
No, in the postman, I'm talking about the code.
this one.
Postman, yeah, the
Yeah, this
code
we have to write. Yeah.
that we need to write. Okay.
Yes. So you can have this example, these kind of examples in the documentation. They will have like a sample.
Okay.
Okay. So I just took that and modified it for my process here. So the general payload is this. You need to have message name. These are like keywords. These
Okay.
values is in your whatever you have defined in
Yeah.
your process. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So once you have that, then you can assign. So what I'm saying is whatever this variable one value which I'm sending, assign to this process variable. Okay, that is what I'm saying to it. And that's how you can access that value in your forms or in your scripts or anything in so far and so forth. Okay, so any questions here? How to log into Bonita engine and then how to invoke API calls if you
Uh,
want to do.
totally, how many connectors do we have uh, in
You have
general?
many, you have many actually, but
Mm-hmm.
in the client location, you'll be using only four types at most. One would be your script type, right, which we have seen, and
Yeah.
the REST type we have seen yesterday, and
Mm-hmm.
DB type, which you have seen. The other one is SOAP, web service based, but web service based is little complex, and most of them doesn't go in that route because most of them are now going to REST based of API calls or instead of SOAP based. But you do also have SOAP based ones.
Okay. So, which one is mostly used in the companies?
You will see most REST script and DB.
Okay.
And DB is also avoided because a REST API can do that for you. If you do put or post internally, it can actually update some database things. If
Uh,
it is, yeah, yeah.
so in the previous classes, you were talking about script. It's groovy scripting language. Something you were talking about that, right? So
Yeah.
how can it was a single sentence? It was good. So if they write in many lines of code, how to understand that language?
So it
Groovy.
is more or less it's the same thing, but I can suggest you places where you can go and have a quick read on that. But normally you can also write Java code in that, as I mentioned earlier. So
Mm-hmm.
Groovy, at the end of the day, at runtime, it will be converted to Java code only. Okay,
Okay.
that's why if you see any of the scripts, let me open that operation or
So instead of that, we can directly write the Java code, right?
yeah, you can. But Groovy is shorter. As you can see, if you want to write any ternary conjugation, you no need to put a lot of big code. You just write some, let's say, X question mark and true or false, like that. So that's a
Okay.
ternary condition. Like so, it simplifies the code. It's not like it's mandated that you need to do it,
So
and
we
you
are new to it, so I couldn't find way to read about it. So I just curious about
yeah,
it.
yeah, you can just go to a quick start like that. Not many use Groovy also. Most of them use Java code only, if I am not wrong. Okay, you can do Groovy to Groovy and you can get a basic information. Yeah, it's pretty much like Java only. Just the syntax is a little different. Like you have something called a def keyword. That means it's a dynamic variable. Okay, You can give anything. It takes a string or 1, 2, 3, just like your var val in your Java 9. Okay, I think it's just like var. So it can take anything. Val is constant, right?
Yeah.
So var is a variable. So def is it's called definition. It's more like in the Python world, like def. You declare something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a few things for you, like you have triple quotes and you can write multi-line strings. So those are all little features you can use, and Groovy is easy to understand also. If you just quickly go through, if you have basic Java knowledge, you can quickly grasp it. Even the code is easy to understand too. Let me show you loops or something. Yeah. This guy is giving so many things.
So basically, in companies like they use Java or Groovy, like they use both or
They
what?
use mix of it. As I told
Okay.
you, it's simpler to write code in
So for
Groovy.
small logics, they use Groovy, and like REST APIs and all, they use Java.
Yeah,
Like that. So.
normally if there are any dependencies, right, they will
Mhm.
try to put in Java code and use it as a thing in your Groovy. Okay, so you can add dependencies. So here you see a lot of dependencies. Actually, you can click on this. Yeah, this will give you a good quick start. I forgot to mention that. This one is there, right? Groovy quick start. It is from Bonita only. So they'll give you a quick read, like how what you can do with the Groovy scripts and all. You can click on this link and it opens. Okay. Unicode, you can go through it and you will love it because it is very easy to write. Okay, if you for in Java you will write system or println, right? Here just write println and you get that thing. So you can do and like less number of words the same thing. Give it a try and see. Will like it. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, any question?
okay. You just opened the script in operations, right? In 712, I couldn't see that. Edit. Can you open it? Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. In script, yeah. In 712, I couldn't see the select variable, select a provide variable. I was not able to see those fields.
These ones, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
those
it is
ones.
UI is little different. I can open it. Let me just open it. Not install seems like what I did, but I have the latest one. Let me open that. Wanted to show you the latest one, but it will be very different from what you're going to work in the client location. So that's why I resorted to 711.
Oh, okay. I think I've downloaded the recent one and I couldn't see those.
Yeah, it will be there, but just the UI is a little different. See, this is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah, here is where they gave you all those things, scripts, variables. If you have any, it will come here. So they just moved here and there the code things, and any code templates you can do that, and execution. These things are the same drop downs you have seen this side, if you remember in the
Yeah.
previous version thing. Yeah,
Okay.
the BDMs are here. So they just reorganized things a bit because it's a new version, right? They want to enhance the widgets and all. So if you want access parameters, you can do that query here. So they put everything in one place. It's more generic now.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so
Yeah.
I avoided this for that same reason because it will be very different from what you're going to work in the client location.
Okay.
In the client location, they're using 7.8.4, which is even lower than what I'm showing to you guys. I think it's 7.11. Okay, let me get back to the point. So we will use this JSession ID and Bonita API token to log in. and to use it in the next coming APIs if you want to do that. Okay, few things you need to understand. This will be a typical message thing, and the correlations is like where conditions, as I told you, right? It can take up to 5 values, and you need to have at least one for you to uniquely identify your message node. Okay, if you think that there is a common pattern for each of your messages in your process, so you can uniquely put another value in your step so that it will not be repeated. So what do I mean by that? Let me should tell you a scenario where you will have it. Let's say you have a loop. So you have a loop and it comes back to this step, let's say. And let's say this is not a user task, but a message task. Now, when you put the correlation, like process ID or some, let's say process ID, it's good example. So process ID is same across the all the nodes, right? So when you put the correlation as process ID, now if a message is sent multiple times, let's say 2 times it was already sent from your external system. So next time when it comes, it will automatically pick the previous message. So one good thing about Bonita is when you send multiple messages, it will not be lost, but it will be stored into a database table. That table is what I want to show you is, I think I showed you some table names right yesterday. What is that? Did I lose it? Okay, I think I don't have that list. Oh yeah, this one. So the waiting event will give you the name of the current step. So if the waiting event is placeholder task, the placeholder task will be shown in the waiting event with all the correlation and the messages to it. The message instance will store all the inputs that was sent to the Bonita. So if your external system is posting messages, let's say they send 10, 10 will be added to your message instance. The order of execution is whatever comes first, it will be taken. It's more like a queue, 111. So if 9 messages are incorrect, it will all be consumed and only the 10th one will be used. Okay, so the loop has to go through 9 times to actually receive the perfect one to move it forward. So that is one thing which is different from other systems, other type of BPMs you will see out there. So once the message is sent, it's gone. They will not even remember it in the normal BPMs. But here in Bonito world, it is stored for you. And that happens only for the message type. It's not for the signals again. Okay. Let me just revert this things. I'm doing Control Z. Just like your Eclipse, you can do Control Z. And one other thing is you can also copy nodes. If you have multiple steps, you can just copy them. So what this does is it will also copy any connectors in it. If you have like 10 connectors in it, the connectors will be copied to that as well. So that is one good help for you. Like if you have multiple repeated things you have to do in your process, more or less, then you can just copy them and it will work.
Can we also copy the whole process?
Yeah, you can just copy and go to other process. I never give it live, but I think you can. Oh no, take it. Yeah, but hopefully I can do within the same pool. Yeah, in the same pool you can do that, but you can only copy one step if you're copying from here to, I think this one can copy. Yeah, only one step you can copy to the next another process, but within the same pool you can copy as much you can. Okay, but beware that when you're copying pasting things, make sure that you are not missing things here and there. Okay. Okay, now I'll quickly review the yesterday thing, messages and signals. So you got the basic difference, right? Signals are used to broadcast for across multiple instances. Message is like one-to-one mostly in the most scenarios, okay? And unlike messages, signals are lost. So if let's say you have 10 processes which are supposed to pick it, but only 9 of them have active signal receivers to it, and the 10th one is not ready yet, you send 10 messages, only 9 will go. For the 10th one, you need to resend it again. So it won't pick the 10th one because it's not ready yet. Okay, that is a little bit different to the messages. In the messages, let's say you have a step in the ninth one, but you posted the message at the eighth step only. But still, when it comes to ninth step, it will pick that message and move it forward because it is stored in the table. Okay, but in the signals, you have to repost it. Okay, for that, let me give you this example. So I have created this small process, I think signal process. This is very simple. All it has one catch signal. This is what will be captured by these two processes. This one as well as this one. So both of them will have it. The prerequisite for this to get activated is you need to start these processes first. So let me start this one. And let me start this one. So now you have two instances that are waiting on the signal. Now, assumption is you have to, when I run this particular process, it should trigger both those processes, and we need to see two user tasks. One is user task, the other one would be this one. I'll be completed using message. Okay, let me run that. Okay, now you see that I got the user task and I'll be completed using message event. So at a time, you are able to send the signal to both the instances which are capable to accept that signal. So that is one advantage. You can send multiple instances to it. So when do you use signals generally? If you want to bulk a bot or something like that, if you have like that, you may send it in that scenarios, or if you want to trigger bulk start of the processes or something like that, you can do that also. Okay, generally we'll use signals for that normally in the real world. Okay, I have in the this process, right, I have kept a boundary message to show you. I think we have seen this, but in the API way, how to do that. Also, I have done that. So the process is same. You will be using the message name, this one, and the flow node name here. I have kept this both same to show you that it is also possible for you to give name and the catch message same. So in the client location, you will be seeing this kind of trend because for them, when you do API queries, right, you will get a list of task names and all. So for them to figure out what is the message for each individual one, they thought that why not give the same name so that they can automate certain things behind the things for you. Like let's say this is boundary message one and the catch message is something else. You need to figure out for each process, okay, for this name, this would be the message. For the second one, this would be other message. So they have to keep two records everywhere. So for them to automate certain things from the external source, they have kept the name and the message same for most of the scenarios. Okay. So just to show you that it is possible to keep both same name, you can do that too. Okay. So to complete that one, I think this one. So you'll be using the same API call we have used, slash message one. And I just updated the ones to the current process. Catch message signal process 2. Okay, the message name is boundary message. You see the flow node name and the message name is same. Now you might get a quick question that, okay, the actual node is this one active, but we are giving this one. So for boundary events also, you need to give the name of the event, not the actual task name, which is active right now. Okay, so remember that point. You might get confused and you think, okay, I should give this name. No, you should give the message name only for you to do that. Okay, let me send it. Okay, it says unauthorized. Means it got, the cookie got expired. Now I have to redo it. Yeah, it's kind of little, I don't like this part, but this is how they manage things. So yeah, now it says 204. Yeah, now you see one task went off, right? That was the previous one. This task was completed. So once it's done, it should have done step 2 and end. Okay. Any questions here?
No.
So now if someone asks you how do you typically do an API call in your Bonita, I would say you will do first login service and you will invoke any other API which is relevant to it. If it's a message, then you'll do message type of thing. If you want to instantiate a case, you can also do that. I can quickly show you that in the PowerPoint, which I have prepared. Not this one. Here. So this one here, I'm creating a case. Oops, what is that? Hold on. Okay, you can create case using this. So you need to provide same JSession ID and Exponent API token. The keywords, you should remember that it should be like this only, JSession ID and Exponent API token. And the input would be this process definition ID. And you might be wondering, how do I get this ID? So whenever you click on any process, you will have that ID. Click on more, you see this ID. Yeah, this is the ID you need to use for it to specifically start. You have many other APIs. So let's say you don't know process ID every time, you may also start the process using the name. That would be like actors and users demo, like that. You have different APIs in Bonita, but this was simpler for me to show you, so that's why I just recorded it. But you can try other APIs also. If you want to start by name or something, you can do that. Okay. Okay, and the important thing is how many correlations you can do. One, or at most you can do 5. Okay. The thing is the content which you send, keep it simple. So you have like, just because it accepts a lot of things, don't complicate this. And it has certain limitation also. It takes only 255 characters max for each type of thing you can send to your process variable. So send only basic types like string, booleans, or something like that. If you want to send like a list of things, go for instantiation form, because that's the payload you want to get it, right? So try to use instantiation form also. So you might be wondering, let's say if you have instantiation form, now the payload will be a little different, right? It won't be just my definition ID, but you need to send those key values also. So in that API, you need to enhance that a bit. If you go to the documentation, you'll find it. So apart from this process definition ID, you can also provide variables. Okay, just check it out in the documentation. Okay, let me go to next step, iterators and call activity. So any questions so far, guys? I'm gonna go to new concept. Events, you're good, and you know how to design a form, and you know how to look logs and all, right? And you know what is case and how to see how to start a process using APIs so far. Any questions on these topics?
No.
Okay. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to talk about iterators and call activity. Iterators is like one of the powerful constructs, I would say, because if you want to create dynamic nature to your process, let's say, consider this example here. You have a start and a parallel gateway, and you see the 3 steps to it and joining back and end. Let's say I want 10 or 9 or 8 based on certain conditions. You cannot draw it normally, right? If let's say it is changing, ever changing, and you want to design at the runtime when the process is running, in this way, this is more static. It's not much dynamic to it. But you can use some other node called iterator, which is like this. You have 2 types of iterators. One is a parallel one, other one sequential. Sequential, as the name suggests, it will be done sequentially, one after the other. Parallel is just like, it mimics this like this. So let's say you put 3, then it will generate 3 tasks like that. And you also have other one called loops. Let's say you want to loop the same step like n number of times, you can also do that. Okay.
Uh,
But
is there a chance we can add the child process and call it multiple times?
yes, you can.
We
So
can.
this particular step works on call activity and tasks. So you can use scripts, call activities, or any form also if you want. You can generate form multiple times too if you want. Okay, I prepared a small example to show you. Select it. Okay, So a loop looks like this, and you might be wondering where this one came. So far, you have been seeing this task and all. Where do I put the iterators? So when you, this is just a normal task, right? When I click on this task, here is where you will see. Below the active section, you will see the iteration. Generally, it is none, but you can change to any of the loop. Let's say it's a standard loop. So this is how it looks. The test after and test before. What does this test after is, if you want to put a loop condition, let's say you want to loop this task 5 times, but if certain thing comes up, you need to break the loop, then you can do that. So you will do that as a test after. That's where it will check that condition prior to looping it. Test before, sorry, test after is after doing it. Test before is prior to it. I said the opposite actually. Okay, let me show you the step one so that you'll understand. So this step one is just a normal user task. It doesn't have anything in it. I've used a small script and I've told how many times it should loop at max. So this is like your exit condition. Okay, so my condition is very simple. I just used a counter, which is a variable. Okay, it's just an integer. So I'm saying if it is equal to 5 and it's greater than 0, just loop it till then, less than or equal to 5. Now you can say 3 also if you want. So although your condition is true here till 5 it should run, but it will stop at 3 because your exit condition is 3. Now this is optional. You can put it if you want, but if you want to put like dynamic nature to your number of loops, if you have 100 times you're supposed to loop, but you got the result at the 50th step itself, you don't want to loop another 50 times, right? So that's when you put this maximum loop condition, which is dynamic in nature too. If you want to write a script, you can do that too here. So it's a little bit powerful for you. This kind of thing you will not see in other type of BPMs. Normally they will give you a loop and they will give you how many times to loop, but breaking it is a little bit complex thing. You have to achieve it, but here it's very straightforward. Okay, and you can also have the option to test before or after. That will give you an additional advantage. Okay, I'll just set it back. Now once I start this process, we have to see the step like 5 times. Now there's one more important thing which I want to tell you is you can actually change the name of it. Now right now it says step 1, right? But when it displays in the engine, it can be renamed. How you do that is you need to click on this portal section. And here is where you can change the display name of that step. Now here I have written a simple one. It doesn't do much. What I did is I added a string and did a plus and added the variable counter. So if it is 5, then it will be step number 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you can see it visually that it is which step it is. Okay, let me just run it. Okay, concentrate on this one, step number 5. Okay, I'm going to do that. Complete. Do refresh. Step 4. So it will come like 5 times because of the condition. Did anyone got any question like what is happening to the counter? No.
He incremented it, right? Plus.
Yeah, I incremented it in the operation actually. If I go to executions and operations, here is where I did that. So normally the value of the counter is 5 and it will be decremented every time, -1, -1. So that's why you are seeing the step number changing to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 like that. Okay. So right now the value of the counter would be, let me see, what is it? Actually got completed because there was no forms here. That is the problem. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So that looped for 5 times and it was supposed to call the child step in child process. Why did it complete it? Shouldn't be. Okay, it's not completed actually. Sorry. It was in pending tasks. Yeah, the counter is 0 right now. Once we completed this 5 to step 1. Okay. And here you may choose to exit anytime. Right now I put 5 because the next task will be dependent on it. So that's why I did that. Now coming to this one, parallel call activity. So whenever you see 3 vertical lines, that is a parallel. When you put horizontal 3 lines, that is sequential. So parallel, just like your parallel gateway, it will spawn those many number of tasks. Now as your question, can I put a call activity? Yes, you can. That is what I did here. Okay. Now here you can define the condition using a list, or you can use some variable as well. I think I'm late. I will be taking another 10 minutes. Is that fine for you guys? It's
Yeah,
9 o'clock actually. Everyone is okay, right? If not, I can repeat it this tomorrow.
for me it's okay.
Okay, let me continue then. So here I'm taking a list. So this list is not big thing. It's just an array of 5 numbers. So when you define a variable, here is the data type, right? You select multiple things. So I selected Java object, and you can further select and fine tune which object you want to do it using browse. So you search for java.util.list and you get it. And you see that you can just select that. And here the code is nothing. I just put an array of 5 elements. That's all. I kept very simple. So you can pass a big JSON object array of objects also here, but for simplicity reasons, I just took that one. So you have to select that variable, and based on the length of it, it will spawn those many tasks. Now the interesting I tried is early completion condition, which is normally it is supposed to spawn 5 times, right? Because the list size is 5. But in the early condition, I did right if the counter is 3, then just exit early completion, right? So you can complete these 5 steps in any order, right? So let me go here. Now you have 5 steps, right? I can complete the first one, third one, fifth one, or 1 2 3, or 1 4 5. It's your wish. Now whenever you complete 3 tasks, it will automatically go to the next step because the condition is 3. The counter becomes 3. Now where do I update? Right now the counter is 0, right? Now I'm going to update the counter value in the operation section. Here is where I'm updating from 0 to +1, +2, +3. Every time it comes back to that. Okay. So far you're good.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me get back to users, and now see here there are 5 tasks, right? Let me take one. Submit. One is done. I click on second. It's done. I click on third. It's done. See the 2 of them disappeared because my early condition is 3. The rest of them got aborted. Now if I go to the instances again to see what happened to that case, see they performed here and rest of them got aborted. See that? Aborted by system because my condition here is counter when it reaches to 3, just complete this one and go to the next step. So in my sequential here, I just used a variable. So I told you can use a list or you can use a variable. So here the counter value is whatever it is. So those many times the activity will happen. Because it is 3, 5 minus 3 would be 2. So the sequential task will come twice. Okay. And my early condition is this one. So whenever it reaches 1, then true, not false. Okay, so this is the ternary condition I was talking. And I told you that you can quickly evaluate the scripts, right? So you can do that. So here, evaluate. Let's say your value is 5. So it gives you false. So you can quickly, so if you have very big script, and you can also do that here. Let's say the counter becomes 1, then it gives you true. Okay, so that's one advantage. I would recommend you to use evaluate as much as you can because that will avoid you to do multiple deployments to your engine to test the simple things also, right? So you can just do evaluate, and once you're happy you can just do it as one deployment like that. Now let me complete the sequential ones. Let's see the counter value. The counter is 3. So 3, you have one task. Let's see, because it's sequential one after the other. Okay, I'll take this and submit. Refresh. See the one right now. The counter value is 2. Submit. Now it's done because our condition is counter equal to 1. Now counter is 1. So now no more task for you, and the instance is done. Right, you don't see that, and the iterators and call activity is done. So I would say that this is like one of the important constructs that will allow you to have dynamic nature to your process. If you have multiple things to be done within your process, you can go for loops or iterators, and I would recommend you to practice this. Also try the early completion condition, try different scenarios. It will be useful, and in the client location you will see a lot of places where they will use these kind of iterators a lot. Okay. Okay, I think I'm done for the day, guys. If you have any questions, I can take like another 5 minutes to explain. If not, we are good. I'll send you this particular boss file and messages. If you want to try the API calls, you can also try that by following those PDF. I'll also put the PDF one if you want this one. Okay. Okay then. Thank you, guys. I think tomorrow.